Welcome to the Dreamlands. We are back with some more Deserts of Kharak multiplayer action. Now this is going to be a tournament game from the Artifact Cup 12 that happened quite some time ago now. And this was a matchup between myself, Last Rites, and Tren, who is a player that is very, very good, and you should be familiar with him if you follow Deserts of Kharak or the Artifact Cup. And this was a very, very good game, if I recall it correctly, so I wanted to get it up here. And as well, typically Magpie will cast all of the Artifact Cup matches on his channel. However, he missed Artifact Cup 12 and 13. I find it unlikely that he will be casting these games anytime soon, if ever, so I decided to grab the replays from Sinistro. And there was quite a number of really, really good games, so I wanted to bring them to you guys. And we're going to start with this one. So let's take a minute to do player introductions and check out the map, and then we'll get into the action. Now, the interesting thing about this replay is it's actually submitted by Tren, so it's from his perspective, even though I played in the game. So that should be kind of cool. We'll get to see what Tren is doing, and I'll be able to commentate on what I'm doing because I do remember this game. So without further ado, let's do this. Spawning on the north side of Canyon Outpost, one of my favorite maps, we have got the mighty Tren playing as the Khaaneph with that sexy ass carrier. I know I say that every time, but damnation, look at that thing. Epic. My favorite unit probably in any RTS ever, just by virtue of its design. It is so friggin' awesome. This is Tren's opponent, spawning on the south side of Canyon Outpost. It is yours truly, otherwise known as Last Rites, playing as the Soban, which also has a pretty damn sexy carrier, I do have to say. I love it a lot. Alright. So this is going to be a 1 versus 1 from the Artifact Cup 12, as I mentioned, on one of my favorite maps with two of my favorite factions. So let's see what's going on here. It looks as if Tren has gone for a super, super greedy opener. He is going for production cruiser first. He has fully saturated 2 resource locations already. So he is looking to set up a very strong economy in the early game. He has also sent out his base runner to grab an early artifact. And it is going to go uncontested because I have decided to go for a little bit more of an aggressive build. I'm fully saturated my main. I'm long hauling resources from my closest expansion site, and I'm rushing out a couple of AAVs. This is going to be the AAV into Strike Fighter build. Now, bear in mind that this was when I was first learning the build, so I hadn't yet worked out all of the specifics, and so I was kind of practicing it and experimenting with it, so less than ideal in my execution. However, it is still a pretty darn good build, and we're going to see it in action. So I'm going to get 3 AAVs out onto the field. I'm going to fan them out across the map and kind of send them in to do some economic harassment to Tren, and then I'm going to tech up to Strike Fighters right on the back of that. Now, Tren, my opponent, has gone for very fast assault railguns, which is an extremely good counter to early AAV harassment. And he has also gone for yet another production cruiser, so basically as greedy as you can possibly be with assault railguns to follow it up, and directly into honor guard cruisers. So pretty greedy and pretty ballsy. However, you can definitely get away with a strategy like this on this map because of how bloody big it is. Like, this map is freaking huge. It's a 2v2 map, but it is available for play in the Artifact Cups. There's always one 2v2 map in rotation, so that provides the opportunity for some big macro games, and that is exactly what we are going to see here. This game was quite intense. So Tren now setting up his 3rd resourcing location. I should be producing a support cruiser pretty shortly, and I will be lagging a fair bit behind in economy. However, that is due to the aggression that I am going to put on. I do have 1 armor researched. My first AAV is going to hit his resourcing line, pardon me, his salvagers. My second is going to hit his main, and my third is going to come around from the flank pretty slowly. Like I said, suboptimal execution. However, I'm going to be able to pick up a couple salvagers. I've shut down mining completely on this farthest resource location, but this AAV is going to toast. I'm going to throw down some smoke and leave it in play as long as possible so I can deny mining time to my opponent and catch up in economy. I'm going to be able to pick up another stray salvager. But these railguns, oh, these are actually heavy railguns, so really, really nicely done by Tren, getting those heavy railguns out onto the field just in time. They're going to shut this down quite nicely, but not before I do a bit of harassment and just use my AAVs as much as possible to just be an annoyance. My other AAV is finally in the battle over here. It's I picked up one salvager, so I think I've killed 3 salvagers in total, but I am going to lose all of my AAVs. So whether or not that is very cost effective, probably not, but I was able to shut down mining for probably a good solid 2 minutes here on this location and picked up a few salvagers. Bought myself the time to expand my own economy. I'm now sitting on 2 bases or 2 resource locations mining fully, and I'm now long hauling resources from my 3rd location, so starting to catch up here. I've also got 6 strike fighters in the hangar. Now, I wanted to use those to snipe a production cruiser as quickly as I possibly can. However, there is a counterattack coming in of a number of assault railguns backed up by heavy railguns, and that is a dangerous, dangerous attack force. So I am going to be forced to use my strike fighters to bomb these railguns out of the off the ground. Let's watch these strike fighters go in for some action. They're going to pick up targets, and they're going to clean house on the ground here. Boom, and that totally denied the counterattack from Tren, and it's also going to force him to invest in some anti-air, which is always a good thing. Now, I've since been practicing this build and refining it with help from Discara, who invented the build, so definitely a better build for smaller maps. However, very strong build nonetheless. Now, on the back of this, I was able to produce a 2nd support cruiser, so I'm now caught up fully in economy, mining off of 3 locations, and I've transitioned into full macro mode. I do have railguns researched, and I'm going to transition into a very railgun-centric build order, or composition, pardon me, which is very much standard for Soban play. Unfortunately, Tren already has his first Honor Guard cruiser on the field. Let's check this bad boy out. I know I do this all the time. Every time there's an Honor Guard cruiser on the field, I zoom in. But damn, look at this thing. And I gotta say, I don't ever build Honor Guard cruisers as Khaaneph. When I'm playing Khaaneph, I really like the standard kind of unique Khaaneph playstyle of blast drones, siege cruisers, and that sort of thing, but it is pretty unusual, I would say, in general, for people to go Honor Guard cruiser, and I was not expecting this, so pretty nice move by Tren. I think this is the 2nd game that we played together, and so I was anticipating a little bit more standard Khaaneph playstyle, and Tren switched it up to good effect here. Honor Guard cruisers are brutally good. And he's got it backed up here with a production cruiser, which is really nice. Now, I do have a large number of strike fighters, 7 of them, which are on the map. They're going to come in here, and they're going to snipe a production cruiser. Our missile ships now on the field, so I'm going to take some pretty heavy losses here. I think I'm going to lose 2 or 3. However, I'm able to clean up a production cruiser, grab a couple salvagers on top of that, so always a good time. We call the strike fighters back home, and I've pushed forward my main line of heavy railguns and AAVs to hold the bridge. However, Tren has come across the other side of the bridge, so it looks like we are gearing up for a pretty damn big engagement here. My forces way out on the left flank, and Tren pushing through mid with a nice production cruiser to reinforce. with units. Now I've spotted that he does have an honor guard cruiser, so I'm going to try and fall back behind the protection of this terrain here and force him to come around and hopefully pick off his units piecemeal. However, he is reinforcing with a second honor guard cruiser and a ton of railguns streaming out across the map, and really, really nice positioning from his missile ships. He has one bringing up the rear to protect from the right side, and one bringing up, well, the other rear and protecting from the back. So nice coverage from his missile ships, and I'm continuing to kite back with my railguns. This is going to be a big, brutal fight here. Now I'm going to use my AAVs to kind of screen with the smoke and launch some strike fighters to do a little bit more damage. However, I can't find a good angle because of Tren's immaculate placement of his missile ships here. However, just the sheer number of strike fighters I have, I'm going to be able to take down quite a number of railguns. That is going to give me the advantage on the ground, and I'm going to push up with a pretty darn big army. At this point, I have 2 armor upgrades for the railguns as well as damage upgrade. So this fight is going to go into my favor. I'm able to clear up one of the honor guard cruisers, which is quite nice. However, the cost for that was severe. I think I lost all of my strike fighters, maybe except for one, so I have 2. This one is probably going to go down. Yes, it does. To honor guard cruiser anti-air fire, no less. But a huge battle. Now, the real problem, though, with this game is Tren has been able to deliver artifacts unmolested for pretty much this entire game. So he's done a pretty good job of boxing me in here with this big threatening army, and he's just been delivering artifacts pretty much this entire game. Now, he does have a wing of sand skimmers that he was intending to do a backstab with, but I think he just forgot about them because they've been sitting here for several minutes now, and that's lucky for me. However, thinned out his army big time, and now I have a distinct macro advantage. I'm going to try and get the flank in with a number of LAVs here. However, they are kind of streaming out into the map piecemeal, and that's never a good thing. Now that I have a significant number of them, I'm going to sweep in, flank with some railgun fire, and I am going to do some severe, severe damage to Tren's forces and force him back. A little bit out of position here. This was a bad move on my part. I should have continued pushing up along this left flank and then caught his units in a pincer attack. However, I thought he was going to try and push through here, so I was moving my forces back around, and now they are not in this fight where they should be. So really nice use of terrain by Tren, keeping his army out of the line of fire of the bulk of my forces. However, I'm going to catch him now. There's going to be a serious amount of railgun fire here. How many do I have even? 12 railguns. Look at this, the speed of these assault railguns, man. Never underestimate assault railguns. They can boost their speed, get right on top of you, and then just do a heinous amount of damage to your railguns. However, this fight is pretty much going to go in my favor. The second honor guard cruiser is going to fall. The rest of Tren's forces are going to get cleaned up, and he is going to be forced to retreat across the map. So a pretty darn nice fight. I'm continuing to stream reinforcements, LAVs, and some support cruisers to support my railguns, get them healed up, and stay in the fight that much longer. Intensely huge battles pretty much this entire game along the left side of the map here. And look at this, a 4th artifact Tren has now grabbed. He's going to pretty much unopposed, he's going to deliver that artifact, and that is going to put me in a very, very desperate position. On the back of all of this fighting, I've decided to tech to battle cruisers. Not something you generally see in multiplayer. These are awesome, though. I mean, just look at that thing. Monstrous. Now, the reason I built these is because they are actually quite good against honor guard cruisers. There's very few situations when I would recommend in a competitive game getting battle cruisers out unless you are in for a very, very long macro-oriented game. So this map definitely is something that you can, or pardon me, this map is definitely one that will favor more macro plays, and so you can do stuff like this on this map. and in particular, I do like to get Soban battle cruisers if I'm up against Khaaneph siege cruisers or Galcian honor guard cruisers. They are pretty damn strong in those situations. Now we have a backstab finally from Tren. It comes in, it shuts down my entire resourcing location. I'm forced to flee with my salvagers. I did lose 2 by the looks of it. My support cruiser and salvagers are forced to flee. However, I now have, I still only have 1 power in armed logistics, so that is not good. I'm forced to deploy a couple of armed logistics and pull back my LAVs, which were heading out for a flank attack. So really immaculate timing by Tren. Forced me to pull back all my LAVs. And now I'm looking to be in a little bit of trouble. My 1 strike fighter that was left is going to come and help clean up these sand skimmers, and they are going to get outflanked by a much larger force of LAVs. These sand skimmers are all done for. They're going to get cleaned up completely. I'm going to push up with a pretty damn big and imposing army. However, Tren meets me at the bridge, and in typical fashion on this map, there is going to be a huge battle. A couple of sand skimmers just being a massive nuisance. And I don't have any AAVs or LAVs to counter that, so they are going to do some serious damage, force me to do a full retreat. Now my battle cruisers, this one is going to actually tank a lot of damage for me, which is really good. It's going to help my railguns to kind of kite back, and look at the rank on these railguns. They have been doing massive amounts of work this entire game. A clutch targeting jammer that is just going to buy some time for my base runner. I'm trying in desperation to get an artifact because Tren's base runner is here. It is mere minutes away from the extraction zone, and it is carrying the 5th and final artifact. Now my main army is very slow. It is superior with these battle cruisers and high-ranked railguns, so I can take a direct fight. However, Tren has switched into pretty much all assault railguns and sand skimmers, a much faster, much more mobile force. It is simply going to outmaneuver me, and I'm going to go in with a massive swarm of LAVs and... This is why you don't A-move in this game. I simply boosted my LAVs and A-moved them, and a single blast drone, the biggest blast drone in the history of this game, clears out all my LAVs and allows Tren to take the game. And honestly, guys, that 1 blast drone is what won him the game. What an epic matchup. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a ton of fun playing the game. And good job to Tren for keeping me boxed in and delivering 5-0. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. If you did, smash that thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.